Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you are a subscriber. If you are new here, hello, my name is Roxanne, also known as Bai Bun, and I'm a mixed media artist, illustrator, and maker of things. I also happen to really love junk journaling, specifically 2 times a year during both Junk Journal January and Junk Journal July, hosted by the wonderful Meg Journals, who has invited me to participate in this Junk Journal July challenge for day 14, which is weather. As soon as I saw the prompt list, I went straight for that prompt because I have a very specific thing in mind that I'm hoping to journal in one of my Disney junk journals. Having a challenge with like very specific prompts I have found is a really great way for me to kind of like get through my Disney ephemera that I hoard. It allows me to sort of catch up on things, and it presents just unique ways to sort of tackle junk journaling versus just kind of repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Yes, fun fact, I am indeed a Disney adult, I guess you could say. I'm a big fan of the Disney parks. I am a Magic key holder. I go very often. I'm usually in the parks about 2 times a month, I would say. When I realized I was going so often and I kept saving all of this stuff, park maps and receipts, and I had tons of pictures, I wanted somewhere to put all of that. And I found that junk journaling was the best sort of medium to do that and to really let my Disney freak flag fly. So buckle up. Let's talk about the junk journal that I will be using. I actually want to talk briefly about the one that I have finished, which you might have seen me use for Junk Journal January. I will put a link to that video down below because I did participate in that challenge as well. Not that I can remember what that prompt was. I think it was pattern was the prompt that I did for that one. And at the time I was working through this junk journal here, which is a little golden book journal. I buy these. They are handmade from Art Journaling the Magic. I will also put a link down below for that. For the longest time, I wanted to have a golden book, sketchbook, or junk journal of some sort. And I always thought like, I'm going to make my own. I had been saving golden book journals and just finally realized, like, what am I doing? Why am I saving these? I'm never actually going to put them together on my own. Let me just buy one that's made. And that's what I did. So they are these really awesome, super thick watercolor paper, handmade, again, golden book journals. And they're a lot of fun to work in, but they're perfect for junk journaling because, oh boy, can they get chunky. So this is the one that I was working on last year. I believe I started, I believe, when did I start this? I think I started this probably at the end of 2022 and then did most of it in 2023 with a lot of the pages happening, again, during those junk journal challenges, Junk Journal January and Junk Journal July. I'll do just a little quick sneaky peek just so you can kind of see. My style is very chaotic, lots of stuff. You'll also notice too, I put Post-it notes over kiddos' faces just for privacy reasons. So if you see those, that is why. But I definitely live in a more is more kind of world. The more stuff that I can kind of pack in here, the better. And it's all, of course, very colorful, fun, uber Disney themed. And I absolutely love it. So again, junk journaling is like, I feel like is more like just my fun hobby, and again, a place for me to kind of put all of my Disney things that I collect. I have literally a box full of ephemera that I lovingly call my Disney hell box because it's usually bursting with things that I've saved from the parks and whatnot. I'm trying to see if I have, yeah, it's just like a real eclectic, fun mix of things that I just really love. But I realized the last junk journal challenge, I finished this junk journal. Totally finished it. This was what I had done in the previous video. So yeah, I'll put a link down below to this video. Otherwise, the majority of my Disney junk journaling stuff does, fortunately or unfortunately, live over in my Patreon. And that is because I use so many personal photos rather than having to like censor them for the internet. I kind of keep things over there. Plus, I don't want to oversaturate my YouTube with Disney stuff, so I torture my patrons with it. So if you want to see more junk journaling videos, specifically out of this one, you can always check over on my Patreon. But I do want to do at some point maybe a full flip through tour of this bad boy. So let me know if you do want to see a full like flip through tour of this. That's something that I can definitely do. Let me know in the comments down below and I can kind of whip that up, and maybe that will provide some extra inspiration here during Junk Journal July. All right, enough of the chit chat. Let's get to the good stuff. As I said, I have finished this junk journal, totally maxed out. This thing weighs like 5 pounds. I'm not even kidding you. It is so heavy. But I had another one already waiting in the wings. So here it is, my Jungle Cruise Golden Book Journal. It's funny, Jungle Cruise is not one of my favorite attractions. I mean, I love the attraction, obviously. It's obvious I wouldn't have bought this journal otherwise. Haunted Mansion is my number one, hence why it was my first junk journal that I had. But I love the Jungle Cruise like aesthetic, which is why I purchased this one at the time. And you better believe I've already bought 2 more that are en route so that I can just continue growing my crazy junk journal collection. I have already started working in this one. I'm just getting some pages going, but needless to say, it is a brand new journal. So I am in the very early stages of this. I did start to work through some of the prompts already. I did sort of a planning for the challenge video / prepping my journal video for my patrons. I also did a first round of batches of prompts. I think I've done days 1 through 5 at this point, but obviously because I'm filming for day 14, I'm having to jump ahead a little bit here. But I did just want to show kind of just where it's at currently. It's so wild holding this in comparison to this. Like, this is how this started. That's crazy to me. That is, I mean, look at that. That is crazy. But yeah, just wanted to show you just a little quick flip here. So you can kind of just see where things are headed. Obviously, very much a work in progress. Like, this is just so much space for me to come back and add more things, more tip-ins, more flips. The chunkier that I can get this thing, the better. As you can see, though, you might notice a few of the prompts here. Postcard, spark. I got some fun little flappies in here of things. This was for folded, I think was that particular prompt. This was for labels, but you can see I have all this blank space in here, all these little nooks and crannies. You better believe I'm going to be coming in and adding more stuff. Even this page, I believe I was starting to prep this a little bit for wildlife. I want to illustrate some little Disney ducks maybe and come back to that. Here, this was for lettering. But I have kind of got this prepped a little bit for another future prompt coming up. So very, very, very early stages in this junk journal, and that is where we're at. So I'm hoping to tackle day 14 here. Again, it is for weather, and I picked that prompt because the first trip that I did this year in 2024, and that is the goal, is that this junk journal is everything from 2024. The first trip that I did this year was with my best friend. She had just gotten her Magic Key Pass, so we were going to celebrate her first day as a pass holder, and it ended up pouring rain, literally total downpour rain. We were soaking wet, like riding Big Thunder Mountain in a complete downpour, which is a blast, not gonna lie. Going to Disneyland while it's raining is actually a grand old time. There's very low wait times. It's a little chaotic. You feel like a kid running around trying to get to rides and like attempt to stay dry. It never works out. But anywho, that is why I picked the prompt for weather, because it was really tied to a very specific memory for me. But I do think that there's a lot of different ways that you can interpret this prompt, but we'll get to that in the voiceover section, right when I actually start working on this. I did just want to share, before I actually dive into this as well, a bit of my process of how I sort of work through a prompt list like this, because unlike, let's say, a drawing challenge, which is more what I'm used to doing because I do more drawing and painting and sort of mixed media illustration stuff, when it comes to something like this, I find that it's really easy to fall into doing the same thing over and over and over again. And what makes junk journaling so fun is that you can do so many different things and details and textures and flip-ins and all sorts of crazy stuff. So what I have found that is helpful is that I literally plan out the prompt list a little bit. And you can see here in my planner journal, which is a whole other separate thing here, I literally go through the prompts and I physically write them out. So I have the prompt list printed here. with lots of eraser dust. I have the prompt list printed here, but I do actually hand write them all out. And then I sort of go back through and jot down, sort of brainstorm ideas of things that I might be able to collage, certain photos I know I want to print. It just helps my brain start to like come up with ideas. And obviously with something like this, where it is specific to a theme, a Disney theme, it's very easy for me to sort of group certain things to an attraction, to a visit, to a memory, to a character, to a film, whatever. And sort of going through the prompts and brainstorming those sort of ideas to your theme, I'm able to sort of gather things together in what I call bundles. So I've already done this previously, again, for my patrons as sort of like a let's prepare for the challenge video. I quite literally make Post-it notes, and then I go through and I gather the things that I might want to use to collage for that particular prompt. So as you can see, I'm jumping ahead here to day 14 weather. This is everything that I sort of collected that I could potentially use for that prompt for that spread. But you can see just even in here, I've already pulled sort of separate little ephemera and pictures for other prompts, so that I can literally just go in here and work my way through the pile, and they're numbered, so I can literally just work my way through the prompts and go all the way down. So I have things gathered in here just about to day 30. There's a couple here that I'm still sort of working on, which I'll just sort of circle and jot down ideas here in my planner. But I really do find that this sort of like bundle method is a really great way to keep yourself organized, especially because it is junk journaling. So we're talking about a lot of paper, a lot of ephemera, a lot of crap, right? A lot of stuff. To keep all the things organized, this is the method to my madness, which is making these little bundles. So for weather, as I mentioned, this is very specific to a experience or a memory for me of going to the park that day, again, with my best friend who had just gotten her pass. Total downpour of rain. So I have a few ideas of what I might be able to do. So I'm just going to quickly go through my bundle with you here, and then we'll go into sort of time-lapse voiceover mode as I actually work on the spread. I always like to throw in just some little fun extras. Someone had sent that to me. One idea that I have is actually doing like maybe a Toy Story sky painted of some sort with clouds. This is that classic like Toy Story wallpaper that is in Andy's room from the movie. And I thought that could be kind of fun to do maybe at the top, painted with the clouds, and then have these big chunky raindrops coming down. And what I thought could be fun to do as raindrops is I have some of this Disney tissue paper that they send you when you buy from the Disney store online, that maybe I could cut sort of raindrop shapes out of this. And I might even need to just like use some gel medium and put it onto different paper and have these little raindrops sort of coming down from these like Toy Story clouds. That's kind of the idea that I'm thinking in my brain. And then sort of among the raindrops are the pictures from that day, which I've already printed out for my little mini printer. And things that I use or I mention, I will do my best to link down below for you guys. So just keep your eye out there. And of course, if I miss anything, just ask me in the comments. And then I did pull some just magic key things. Again, thinking the reason why we did that trip was because it was her first time going as a magic key holder. So again, more Toy Story wallpaper as maybe a starting place, magic key things. This was the park map that I got from that specific day that I pulled out that maybe I want to use. This was a magic key map that I got, I think, when I first joined. So again, more magic key sort of paraphernalia that I thought maybe I could sort of tie in with the pictures or use as the backdrop for the pictures. I'm not entirely sure on that quite yet. And again, that's another reason why the bundles are helpful, because I have all of these things with some ideas sort of rolling, and I can either use them or not, and leftover stuff gets chucked back into the Disney hell box. I did pull some of this pattern paper just in case, because on that day as well, and I'm thinking ahead, I don't know if this is going to be a full 2-page spread or if I'll do just 1 page. I don't know yet, and I don't think I'm going to know until maybe I create those raindrops. But that was also the same day that we rode Haunted Mansion for the last time before it closed for its big, long refurb that it's currently under. So I'm thinking ahead as well to just neighboring spreads that I don't know if I want to start that on a neighboring page or just use it again as an interesting sort of backdrop, because it kind of is giving, I don't know, just a fun texture, a different sort of look we shall see. So that is my little bundle of goodies. That is sort of my initial idea as far as weather and capturing that magical rainy day. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and jump in and start to mess around with things, get my little Toy Story sky going. I think that's the direction I'm going to go in. Play around with this raindrop idea, and we'll see where we end up. Hello everyone, Picture-in-Picture Bun coming in hot. I'm popping in here to do a bit of explaining what it is that I'm doing on camera, talk a little bit more about how you might draw inspiration from this prompt weather. You may hear pugs snoring behind me. I have both pugs with me in the studio here, so lots of random dog snores in the background if you hear that. It's not me. Anywho, what you're watching on screen right now is me actually using some matte gel medium to get that tissue paper onto some scrap watercolor paper that I had. While I could have done this probably directly onto my journal pages, which you'll see I end up sort of painting and doing that whole like Toy Story sky plan that I had, I did want to do this on a separate sheet of paper because obviously tissue paper is going to be more transparent as soon as you use gel medium onto something, which would have been fine, but I really wanted the dimensional look of raindrops. So even like the paper that I decided to glue it onto, I went with a thicker watercolor paper so that when I came back later with the raindrops, and you'll see the effect, it really had like a chunky, cool look to it. It just added more dimension, and I feel like a junk journal is where that kind of stuff should happen, right? And you'll see me also a little bit later create a little flap so I could do some actual journaling underneath. These are all things that I really only do in my junk journal where I allow myself to really chunk things up, right? And really like stick a lot of different media in there, let it get bulky, let it be, bursting at the seams, because I think that's just ultimately what makes it really fun. Now you're watching me do some tinkering, quite a bit of tinkering here. And you'll see me do this, quite a few times during this process where I'm just trying to figure out my layout of things, right? Where are my photographs going? What am I sticking where? What card am I using as a backdrop for what? And just that sort of like little collage thing, which is very enjoyable, right? This whole process is very relaxing for me, very enjoyable. Because unlike my usual work that I'm doing, I'm not having to like really think a whole lot with this. I'm not having to draw or like plan a lot of colors or anything like that. Junk journaling for me is that space where I can really just be loose, have fun, throw media down, let it get chunky, go crazy with detail, and just, live in that more is more sort of world. I am definitely far from being a minimalist. I think the more that I can shove into a spread or a page, and especially with this, because I ended up doing a two-page spread here, my initial thoughts of maybe doing like a hint to the Haunted Mansion because of that particular day, that went by the wayside real quick because I just got really sucked into doing this whole Toy Story sky thing, and then the raindrops, which you'll see later on, I was really quite pleased with. On camera now, I am putting down a layer of just some blue acrylic paint because I knew I wanted to continue that little sort of sky or the cloud pattern rather, and I do that with just a Posca pen on top, which you'll see me do in just a little bit. But I just want to talk about the prompt weather just in general here. Obviously, I went pretty literal with it, right? In that I picked a specific day, a memory associated to weather or a weather event rather. Of course, you can go literal in that way, but I think there's a lot of different ways that you could really look at this prompt and take it in a more abstract direction if you want. I'm a big fan of making patterns and backgrounds and things, which is funny because that's exactly what I did in my last video that I did for a junk journal challenge. Funny enough, it was also day 14 for junk journal January. So I don't know what it is. I just happen to always pick day 14. Is that the new thing? Maybe next time around I need to just automatically pick day 14. I don't know. But I'm a big fan of just making patterns. And I think that you could draw from, the weather prompt. Oh, by the way, Posca pen exploded here on camera, which you can see in real time. And I ended up just grabbing a paintbrush and used a paintbrush to spread the ink all over the place. So I kind of used it to my advantage that this one Posca like exploded on me. And I ended up doing that for all the rest of the clouds. So I'm just filling you in on what's going on there. So it was a happy accident, a very Bob Ross style happy accident. But as you can see here, I'm just making that background, and I feel like this background could be applicable for anything, right? Because I think, again, junk journaling, there's no real rules with junk journaling. You could make this background and it's not related or has any correlation to what you're actually journaling on the page, right? It just becomes this really cool like wallpaper. And even when I was brainstorming this prompt, pun intended, I of course I defaulted to this specific day, especially because it was my first sort of trip to the parks of the year. But I thought about even just like sunny days and happy days and doing like a cool like sun wallpaper in the background, just a bunch of suns in a row or something like that, or playing off of one of the attractions like Mickey's Fun Wheel, or I think they've changed it since then. I don't remember what it was originally called, over at DCA. That has a very it used to have a very sunburst sort of look on it. I feel like I could have pulled off of that and used that as sort of a basis of inspiration. And it still kind of ties into weather, right? So I think that's the thing, is that the bigger scope you sort of put on it versus it being like, I have to specifically address weather. It can be as literally as simple as a background pattern, maybe even like a quote that you love, or even like lyrics to a song could be really cool, where you're just writing the lyrics to the song and it references weather. I'm walking on sunshine, whatever, and you're just writing that in the background and then layering on top. I just think it's a really fun prompt that you could take in a lot of different directions. Obviously, I had a lot of fun being quite literal with mine as we move on to our raindrops here, which let me tell you, this was very time consuming, cutting out all these little things, especially because I did it on such thick watercolor paper. I had to bust out my little itty bitty, super sharp Tim Holtz scissors that I love. But cutting all these bad boys out was, it was a lot. It was very time consuming. I have cut out a lot of that footage here as not to bore you, but I was so happy with the way that they looked, and even just like holding them in my hand, because they were thick little pieces. And it was also like a texture thing. I really love the feeling of tissue paper that has been glued down with gel medium. There's just something about it. I love the way it feels. It's nice in the hand, but to make little like objects like this, and then once I cut them out, laying them on my journal, and you're going to see my happy hands real quick here. There they are. Genuinely, that was my actual real-time expression of just being like so stoked. I was my real-time reaction to seeing the raindrops on this background, because I was a little worried. I was like, is this too much blue? Do I have too much blue stuff going on here? But I feel like it really thematically brought it all together. So you know what? I have no regrets. I have absolutely no regrets. Once I cut out all those raindrops and got them on the page and realized, okay, I love this, I'm going to go overboard with these raindrops, I started coming back to all those things that I had in my bundle, those Magic Key cards, Magic Key paraphernalia. I did end up using some of that Nightmare Before Christmas scrapbook paper just as a bit of like a contrasting sort of patterned paper look. And then it's just tinkering, right? Back to the junk journal tinker, which is just so much fun. Don't you love all of my terminology with tinkering and bundles and Disney Hellbox? This is all of my junk journaling language here. But again, there's just something about working in a junk journal. And I've come to realize that this is a very seasonal affair for me. I really genuinely only do it a couple times a year, and I do it for like a solid month. Like it's every day for a month. I go hard and I junk journal my face off, and then I take a big break. But for some reason, it makes it so much more enjoyable when I do have sessions like this and I can come and sit down. And I don't know if it's half just being really free and it being a little bit kind of mindless for me. There's also something kind of just relaxing about collaging, right? I think it's very comparable to like being in a coloring book and just coloring. It has that same sort of relaxation factor for me, I think. yeah, I don't know. It's just very free. And that's also, I'm obviously getting to kind of relive a lot of memories, right? And moments and things that I really love that for me exists outside of my normal sort of job or work as an artist. And again, letting that Disney freak flag fly. I have zero shame about it. And it's just really, really fun. So these journals make me very happy. And it's really fun starting a second one. So I'm excited to see kind of where this one ends up. I will say I have been continuing to work in this journal, of course, working through the prompts. I'm having to work a little bit backwards because obviously I jumped ahead to get to day 14 to film this. But I've been going back and working on the previous prompts, and I'm really just having a ball. I ended up taking my studio cart, which you will see in a studio vlog up here on the channel probably before this video comes out. So if you haven't watched that, you can always scope out the other videos here on my channel. I have a studio vlog where you'll see I end up setting up my art studio cart, the IKEA cart that everybody's got, and it's full of junk, right? We've all got it. Mine has evolved from being like my art supply cart to my book cart to now it's my junk journal cart. So I have all of my junk journal stuff stashed in there, and then I just wheel it up to my desk when I'm ready to sit down and do some junk journaling as I continue to sort of work through the prompts for the month here. Real quick, just on screen, I'm flipping through my little sticker book here. That little Mickey hand sticker is from No White Space Stickers. Again, I will do my best to link everything down below. If there's something that you see here that I don't link to, just leave it for me in the comments and I will chat to you there in the comments down below. But beyond that, I don't know, there's really not much else to say here. Just adding a little bit of actual journaling, which is not something that I do all the time. Certainly not in my usual artwork that I do. But again, this was a really kind of core memory for me, so I did want to kind of journal it down. But again, low key, I'm doing it on a Post-it. Did it on a Post-it with a brush pen and just kept it really loose and fun. And then glitter. Glitter, that is right. I am normally not a glitter kind of gal. However, the Disney Junk Journal, if there's one place where glitter should go, it is in the Disney Junk Journal. So not only did I add some sort of glitter washi tape, but I also ended up adding some actual glitter glue, and you'll see me kind of add that in with a really haggard paintbrush on top. So not only does this spread embody weather and that lovely rainy day at Disneyland, but it's sparkly too, as it should be, right? As it should be. All right, that about does it for my little picture-in-picture voiceover moment here. I'm just going to let this play out here, give you some tunes. If you made it this far in the video, though, and if you watch it to the end, why don't we put some Disney magic in the comments down below? I'm thinking like a little castle emoji, maybe. Let's see those castle emojis. And anything else that makes you think of Disney magic to represent that you've made it this far in the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to Meg Journals for inviting me to participate yet again. Always so much fun. It is just a grand old time, and I was very grateful and excited to contribute a video this year, so thank you for that. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I put out a video every week with all sorts of fun things, and I got all sorts of interesting videos and content for you here to watch. If you like this video, give it a like. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next one. Bye!